Episode 158 of the Thunder Underground podcast. My name's Trent. As always, joined by Jason. How's it going?
Great.
You ready to talk and hope it works this time?
Yeah.
I don't even have to say that because no one knows, but this is like the third time we've tried this.
The third, yeah.
I count earlier as
2.5 because it wasn't as bad as last night.
Right.
We had some technical difficulties, but, you got it figured out. So we're ready to go.
Yeah. We're going to re-talk about what we've already talked about ourselves and hope we're as brilliant as we were last time.
Here's the hell of it. Okay, since we're already set onto this, what'd you say? We went goddamn, probably 20 fucking minutes.
No, it's 30 something.
Oh, Jesus, that's even fucking worse. And the thing ran out after like 5 minutes.
Yeah, we didn't notice. Yeah.
And there were some fucking gems in there, people. We were on a fucking podcast roll. But, oh well, it
was possibly our best episode ever.
I mean, it was insane. Fucking Tony Iommi and Dave Mustaine called in.
Yeah.
But it's gone, so, I don't know.
Nothing we can do about that now.
We might be able to get him back later, but who knows?
Right. Well, if you had Gas Digital Network, you would have heard this 3.5 years ago. That's an inside joke for fans of another podcast.
Oh, and
But if you're a fan of podcasts, go to patreon.com.
Yes, definitely.
Type in Thunder Underground or just / Thunder Underground. Find us on there. Become a patron. A lot of people are familiar with Patreon. If you're not, it's basically a way that you pledge. You can pledge as low as $1 or $2, or you can go up as high as you feel necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a monthly pledge. And I know we both do it with podcasts we like.
Yes.
In fact, I know you do it with Metal Up Your Podcast, and they just released an EP, for patrons only.
Yes. It was
Some
cool.
Stuff like that.
You got to figure, and it's kind of like those guys talk about, just a cup of coffee, a month, give up a cup of coffee a month and give it to your favorite podcast. In my case, it would be just, one F5 at the shrine a month. Instead of doing that, just give it to a podcast or whatever you like to patron on Patreon.
So this weekend at the shrine, right when you're about to buy an F5, turn around, just hand me the money and I'll donate it to Thunder Underground.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd be like, man, we could really use this. Tom Quee could use this.
Yeah.
Are
you a patron of Alpha Metallica too?
Yes, I am.
Nice.
Hey, why not? Why not? There's a time where I couldn't spend shit on shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So I go a little crazy now. It's a little fun. Whatever.
Yeah. You buy cassettes like they're cups of coffee nowadays.
I mean, why not? Because I can. Yeah. Okay. It's like Dennis Leary says. Why? Because I can.
Exactly.
Okay then.
Well, he's a doctor. He can get away with it.
Yeah. Dr. Dennis Leary.
Yeah.
He told me to shut the fuck up and I felt so much better about myself.
Well, this week.
Anyways.
This episode, we've got a few albums we're going to talk about. We're going to play some music like usual. We're going to talk about an upcoming concert. But first, we're going to talk about a concert that's already happened.
Yes.
About a week ago, or a little over a week ago, Avenged Sevenfold's tour for the Stage album came through town. They've got this big triple bill that's touring around. Them as headliner, obviously, with Breaking Benjamin and Bullet for My Valentine. And that's a pretty hefty triple bill when it comes to the world of hard rock. I think they did a good job of putting this together. And one of the things that jumped out, I know to both of us, after we got there and saw it, and we even looked up set lists beforehand like we do because we're geeks.
Yeah. Definitely.
But generally, when you have a triple bill, that third band's going to get 30 minutes if they're lucky. That second band's going to get 40, 45 minutes.
Yes.
And headliner's going to get an hour and a half or 2 hours. But they went full out. Bullet's getting like 40, 45 minutes. Breaking Benjamin's getting a full hour. And then Avenged comes out and plays a full solid 2 hours.
Yeah, it's a full night. You're getting so much for your money. You really are.
Yeah, and it's not even, there's so many arena tours nowadays that are $80 for every seat in the house. Sometimes they'll be cheaper if they're up, whatever, but this was a good deal. I know like the general admission floor was like $60.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't beat that these days for an arena show with three bands, you know, and the two openers could technically headline places themselves, you know.
And each band has a full production. You know, they're not just, you know, forced up to the lip of the stage. You know, they've all got room, they've all got stuff going on in their shows. It's really cool.
Yeah, we weren't able to get there in time for Bullet because it started, that thing started like 6:20 or something.
Yeah, I mean, you know, with all the stuff during the day at work and everything, we missed Bullet for my Valentine. You know, we didn't get there in time.
I've seen them before. They're good. They're great. And I've seen tons of positive reviews, people that were at that show and at other shows talking about how great they were. And all the pictures and stuff I've seen from it, like you said, it looked just like a headliner up there on stage, you know? They had a full lights and all the stuff going on behind them. But we got there right in time for Breaking Benjamin to kick off. And the same thing, that's the first thing you notice, is these guys had a full-on drum riser.
Full drum riser.
In fact, we'll talk about in a minute, it's a bigger drum riser than what Avenged had.
Yeah, definitely. But they had the stairs leading up to it and all that shit.
Yeah, and Avenged stage has a catwalk. Is that what it's called? Is that a catwalk when it's up in the air?
I think it's catwalk when it's up in the air.
Yeah, so it's whatever it's called when it's on the ground.
It's a little high on the singer ramp.
Right? It jets out.
Yes.
It's the Steven Tyler ramp. That's what we'll call it.
Exactly. The Axl Rose ramp, shall we say.
Yeah. Well, they had one of those, and of course, so Bullet and Breaking Benjamin could use this thing as well. Breaking Benjamin used the full stage, just like you would. And one of the things that we talked about was that I was just thinking and I hadn't said anything, and then like 3 songs in or something, you lean over to me and you're like, who the fuck, this lighting guy needs to be punched in the nuts.
Yeah, I mean, was there a band on stage? Right. I don't know. I heard some shit. But I mean,
there was some red and black shadows.
Yeah, well, there were some kind of mood lighting, like you said. Are they a fan of mood lighting, or
see, that's the thing.
Is their lighting guy drunk?
Yeah, we could say there's a possibility that that's what the band wanted. That's what they do. Well, maybe that's their thing, but I don't know, because there were points where there were spotlights on stage, and it wasn't on the singer, it wasn't on the guitarist doing a solo. It was just there kind of in the middle, and it was just weird.
Well, the thing was, what was it? I don't know, because do they just like mood lighting? I don't know, because there'd be times where it'd be a breakdown in the song or in between songs, and dude would go out to talk to the crowd, and that's when you really think, you'd want to see, I mean, I don't know, but there's nothing. Or the guy would take a guitar solo, and you could hear the fucking thing, but you couldn't see shit.
Right.
It was black. So I'm just like, well, I didn't. I mean, if I was down there on the rail and I wanted to take pictures and I was a huge Breaking Benjamin fan, I would kind of be like, what the hell,
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If you are a huge Breaking Benjamin fan and you know the answer to this, let us know if that's a normal thing.
And
because I saw part of their set at Rocklahoma a few years ago, and I don't remember it being like that, and I remember the stage being lit up.
Yeah. Yeah, let us know. We're kind of wondering about this. It's a quandary.
Right. Well,
but I mean, anyways, their set was good.
Show, yeah.
It was a great pulsing set. They were tight as fuck, and everybody fucking loves this band. Me and you are kind of, we're kind of offline with them a little bit, but I mean, that's not to say they suck or anything. And this is kind of a good, introduction to them.
Right.
For us, I think.
Yeah, they're just one of those bands that I've just, like you said, offline, I haven't really delved into. Mm-hmm. And going to this, seeing their full show, kind of opens you up to something, because I knew going in there, I'm like, well, this is going to be cool, I guess, because I know 3 songs.
Yeah.
I got in there, and they played like 12 songs, and I think I knew 9 of them, which is just crazy. For a band you don't follow, that just shows
the hits,
how much bigger this band is than a lot of people realize.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, I do know this song. Oh, I know that one. So that's a really good sign.
And it's an arena, and for an opening band, the place, was completely full.
Yes.
There was just scattered seats at the top that weren't, full, but it was the same for Avenged. So everybody was in there.
Yeah. For
the opening band, everybody was singing along to every song. Like you said, we walked in there, 2 guys next to us were just marking the fuck out for Breaking Benjamin.
Oh, man.
And even once Avenged came on, they were as well, but it was way subdued from what they were with. And the whole crowd knew everything, which I just thought's totally impressive,
Yeah, these dudes, they were like, man, we're going to rock out together, bro. They were loving Breaking Benjamin. They had their vape pens in the air.
Their vape pens in the air.
Okay, but what was cool, they weren't douches and they were like nice guys and shit. So it was cool, it was really cool.
Yeah. And then at the end of the set, it was pretty cool because he brought a bunch of kids on stage. At first, they brought like 6 or 8, looked like adult fans. It was probably like a VIP thing or something.
Yeah.
And then once they were up there, he just started walking around and pointing at people in the crowd. And not just people on the floor. He pointed at some kid that was like halfway up the, one of the sections of the stands.
Yeah.
And said, hey, how old are you? And, it's not like he could hear him. And he's like, bring your mom with you. And this kid that was probably 10 or 12, and his mom, came all the way down the steps, got on stage, and then he had 3 or 4 of those kids come out in the middle with him during the final song. And before that, they did a medley of, Tool, Pantera.
Yeah, that was cool.
Nirvana and the Imperial March.
With the kind of the half lit up, the half drum set that was kind of lit up.
Yeah.
Well, dude had a lightsaber too.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that was kind of corny, but hey, he prefaced it with, hey, I'm a nerd and I like what I like. And hey.
They even had
respect
the sound effects going. That was pretty cool.
But yet, and another thing to speak on about a band that, like I said, I hadn't really paid attention to in the long term. I always kind of meant to, because that Rocklahoma show they did 2 or 3 years ago, the next day on the band's Facebook, Benjamin Bunley posted a picture of him with Jeff Keith.
Oh, man, that's right.
Because they went on right before Tesla.
Yeah.
And he had said that Jeff Keith is one of the main two reasons that I wanted to become a rock singer.
Yeah.
Which is cool because you don't really place a band like that's just a big modern radio rock band with someone like Tesla. But it's cool because Tesla, we've talked about before, kind of crosses all those lines,
They cut through. You got to love Tesla. Everyone loves Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were both pleasantly surprised with Breaking Benjamin and what we liked. And then, of course, the highlight of the night was Avenged Sevenfold.
Yes, definitely.
Both longtime fans of the band. And when we saw them open for Metallica last summer, I talked about this then, but I had liked them, since they came out, and just kind of lost track there for a few albums. Mm-hmm. Not really lost track, just wasn't as big a fan, I guess. But when I saw them open for Metallica, it really kind of reinvigorated my love for them, basically.
Yeah, brought you back around.
Yeah. So after that Metallica show, I'm like, next time they're in the area, I'm going. So, of course, here we were. And they had a completely stripped down stage for an arena rock band. I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Because Avenged is one of those bands you expect to have all the pomp and circumstance kind of going on. But they had, Brooks Wackerman drum set was on just like a real short riser, kind of like you said, something just to roll
something
it out.
They could just roll it out with, yeah.
And the rest of it was just a wide open stage with drop down things for video. And they just let the music do the talking.
Yeah, they did. They really did. We talked about this before. I really liked how they opened up with the stage.
Yeah.
Brooks and Sinister just come out, just the two of them. And then the rest of the band just kind of gets out there. And then Matt Shadows runs out there. And it's a total, it's that total classic arena rock intro vibe thing.
Yeah.
The only thing, it's just like the 80s, at the Pavilion, just the music's different.
Yeah.
But the vibe is totally the same. And I really think that's cool. And I think that's important to keep.
Yeah. And that's a good point you just said, because I see so many people online slag them like, that band's not metal. I'm like, well, if them or Bullet from a Valentine's not metal, what do you call something like Iron Maiden or Guns N' Roses? Guns N' Roses really isn't metal, I guess. But you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, yeah.
Because it's along the same lines. I'm sure they're not as great as Maiden. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's in the same vein.
Yeah. And it's like, I got a few things to say here. There's so many, you get into it and it's kind of like what you said, we're coming back around to this band. and you're like, oh, I forgot about that song. Fuck, I forgot about that song.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just so cool. And, you know, they did some new stuff, and, you know, we really like that new album. So that was so cool.
Yeah, they hit 4 or 5 songs off the stage, and then they pretty much had at least one song, I think, off every other album.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
And what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, Critical Acclaim is one of my favorite songs by them.
Yeah.
And I noticed that that's on every other show, so I'm glad we got the hit on that one.
Yeah.
Kind of like we said with Breaking Benjamin, of course, we know Avenged Sevenfold, but you just forget that you know every single song.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And
yeah. Well, you know, especially for a guy like me who will just put on an album and not even look at song titles most of the time, you know, I'm just so oblivious. You know, it's like I look at the set and I'm like, I don't know if I know some of these, but I fucking know them, you know.
Yeah.
Once you get into it, you know, I know them.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I know you had said you loved was in the encore they played A Little Piece of Heaven.
Oh, man, yeah, that was great. I mean, it's like a 8-minute long song with fucking horns and all kinds of stuff, and, you know, they pulled that off. It was insane.
Yeah, and another thing that jumped out at me was there was a couple songs I noticed that there was tracked vocals.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like along with what Matt Shadows was doing, it was like extra vocals. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. And then it hit me on like one of those songs, and I call it, that was the vocals that the Revs did.
Yeah.
The Rev did. And they were just using his actual voice.
Yeah.
Like his voice track, which I thought, well, that's huge, you know, and that's really cool because then that's not like someone's cheating just to pump in some extra layers like Def Leppard used to do.
Yeah.
You know, with more backing vocals.
Hey, man, all that's natural. That's what they say.
Right. But where was I going with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's only right to use his vocals. I mean, he's always going to be a part of that band. He's a childhood friend of all those guys.
Right.
And, you know, for instance, A Little Piece of Heaven, he wrote that all by himself, you know, and he sung on a lot of stuff, you know, not just this song, but he sung all over the place too. So it's, you know, it's fitting. It really is.
Yeah.
You know, you can't fault them for using tracks, I don't think.
Yeah, and there's a video, you know, homage to him.
Yeah.
They do every show, kind of like Metallica does with Cliff.
Yeah.
And it's, like you said, it's fitting, you know.
It is. You know, it was a great show. The only problem I had was the fucking ball bag spilling beer on me all night.
I don't know if he's listening, but if he is, get your shit together, buddy.
Well, at one point he fell over and almost knocked both of us over.
Yeah.
But,
like,
you know,
he literally fell into the two of us, and his woman, I noticed like 2 times, another time she had to pick him up from the floor of the aisle.
Oh my God. Well, here's the thing is like, I wanted to be all like, fuck you, motherfucker, you know? But it's like, one, I kind of, you know, we're not going to do anything that his wife has probably hadn't already done more. Because if I had to babysit that motherfucker, I'd be pissed too. And she was, you know, he spilt beer on me time after time again. And, you know, I turned around once and she totally intercepted me. She's like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, that's like the 3rd time. Can you fucking do something about him? You know, and fucking, you know, at one point I was taking a picture of Avenged Sevenfold and he popped me in the back of the head. You know, and this was after all the beer spilling, after him falling over into us. And I was like, you know, and I kind of had you know, it was probably only a couple seconds, but you know, in my mind, it was a few minutes of like, okay, what am I going to do here? Because I'm not going to let some guy pop me in the back of the fucking head. But I'm also a puss and I've never really been in a fight. And I don't want to fight. I don't want to fuck with it, you know? I don't give a shit. I just don't. And I don't want to get kicked out.
Right.
You know? Because if I'll get kicked out too if I do something. What the hell am I going to do? You know? Fuck, I can't get in, you know, I get in a fight with a paper bag. Paper bag's going to win.
Shit.
You know? And so, but I'm like, well, I got to say something or I got to turn around. Right or wrong, I was going to. And I didn't even turn halfway around and I could tell they were gone.
Yeah.
You know, she probably had enough of that motherfucker, you know, and you know, they wasted probably $100 getting tickets. They didn't even stay the whole time because, you know, he had to start drinking at 9 in the fucking morning.
Right.
So anyways, rant over. I apologize.
Hey, that's what this is for.
So yeah, on that note.
You're going to open
I'm going to open
your
up
beer.
Yeah.
And then here in like 20 minutes, you're going to be popping me in the back of the fucking head.
Well, I'm going to spill it all over you first.
Okay.
Get it right, Trent.
Right. Well, like we said, Avenged Sevenfold, if you get a chance to check out this tour and you like good rock music, you'll like it. Because that's another thing I wanted to point out is that this Avenged is one of those bands that you'll see a good chunk of people knocking on, like, you know, the old school fans or the people that like stuff really heavy. I'm like, hey, bands are dying. Bands are shutting it down. You know, you've got Ozzy's coming towards the end. Yeah. Motorhead's obviously gone. Motley Crue's done. You know, Kiss doesn't have much longer. You've got all these
Black Sabbath's done.
Yeah. Judas Priest, you know, is way up there.
Yeah.
Iron Maiden's way up there. 10 years from now, there's going to be Foo Fighters and Avenged Sevenfold. You better hope there's some other bands to carry the fucking torch of rock and roll, whether you like them or not.
Yeah, love them or hate them. This is who we got. Even I think Metallica's probably only got another 10 years left.
Yeah.
You know, because they're in their mid-50s, so something's going to happen. You know, so these bands, like, you know, it fucking pains me to say this, and, you know, I want to punch myself in the butthole just for saying this, but, like, even like Five Finger Death Punch, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, fuck me, but it's truth. This is who we've got, and, you know, whether we like it or not, it's better than fucking, you know, I don't know. You know, rock is kind of on the back burner now, so we've got to back it no matter what.
Right. And, you know, as much as we knock on Five Finger Death Punch, they take out a lot of good bands. They take
out a lot of great bands.
They took out Hatebreed before.
Yeah. Yeah, they took out Shadows Fall and,
right.
You know, I think Lamb of God. I mean, so it's like, whatever. I don't know what the hell to think, so.
Well, speaking of bands that should be headlining arenas.
Yes.
Machine Head is back.
Oh, man.
Their new album, Catharis, came out at the end of January. And Machine Head's one of those bands that right up there for me, like when a new album is coming out, it's like I get all giddy.
It's time to get giddy.
Yeah. It's like when you're a kid and new music came out, if it was any band you liked, you were all excited.
Yes.
You know, once you get 20, 25 years down the line, you know, you get a little more jaded, and there's only a few bands that, you know, you get super excited about, and the rest you're like, I'll check it out eventually.
Yeah.
But Machine Head's one of those bands for me. And it's been since Bloodstone and Diamonds came out, I think, in 2014. So we've over 3 years here for this one. And my first summation of it, I guess, is that I don't like it as much as I like Bloodstone and Diamonds overall. Maybe even the last couple as a full album. But there's a good half of this album where the songs to me are as strong as anything they've ever done.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's kind of like we talked about. Right out of the gate, this album is just a slammer.
Yeah. You
know, but it kind of maybe drops off a little bit to you as it goes on, as it ends.
Yeah.
Well, and that may change for you, you know?
Well, true, yeah. Because, I mean, this is one of those albums I'll be listening to from here on out.
Yeah.
But, like you said, slamming from the get-go. Volatile is, just punches you from the get-go. Mm-hmm. And generally, most Machine Head albums start with a big intro, a big build-up.
Yeah. Before it
slams into it. And this one's just right out the gate. And then it's not until, like, the second song, Catharsis, where there's a kind of a big intro.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of, you know, odd how they placed that compared to what they usually do. But, hey, it works for me.
Yeah.
Because those first 3 songs especially are extremely strong.
Beyond the Pale.
Yeah.
I mean, that's badass.
Yeah.
California Bleeding. I love California Bleeding.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's
a little more happy, I guess.
Happy.
Than a typical Machine Head.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at how, you know, or a little bit more tongue in cheek, but I still liked it. You know, when bands want to kind of do something a little different, I don't get all butthurt about it, you know.
Right. Well, not
Unless
long after that,
fucking Saint Anger or something. But anyways, we're getting off topic there.
You have right to.
Well, you know. Anyways, moving right along.
Triple Beam.
Oh, man.
Is one that I know jumped out to you just like it did me. And this song, he had mentioned in interviews beforehand that there was going to be a few songs that some people might not like, you know, and maybe that's like we talked about with California Bleeding or what we talked about before with Bastards. But Triple Beam really harkens back to the Burning Red and Supercharger, that era during the nu metal phase where they lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
This kind of has that vibe, and it doesn't bother me in the least because I love that era.
Yeah. He kind of touches on some of that going back, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, Bastards, which is a song about the, I think, you know, what was I going to say?
Well, no, when we talked about this in depth.
Yeah.
2 or 3 episodes ago, like, we really talked about this thing for like 10, 15 minutes.
Yes.
And we had said that it was about the Charlottesville thing, when in reality, that's what Volatile's about, I think.
Yeah, we kind of got it mixed up, and Bastards is just about, like, the day after the election.
Yeah.
You know, when, you know, well, you guys can figure that out.
And regardless, this, you know, we can't go into this in depth that we did before. Like, literally go back and check that out if you want to hear us talk about one song.
Yeah, I mean, we gushed over that fucking song.
Instead of Alpha Metallica, it was Alpha Machine Head.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And we jumped straight to the bees. Whatever. But Bastards is such a different song in the sense that everything it has going on, it's got this huge punk vibe to it once it kicks in. And it's got all kinds of stuff going on, you know, and then, of course, lyrically.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, Goosebumps, talk about, you know, took the words out of my mouth. Well, I mean, however.
Yeah, this is one of those songs, I mean, it divided people right out the gate, you know, not just because of the subject matter, but because of the sound of it.
Yeah.
And to me, that just makes me love it that much more.
Oh, totally. I mean, like you said, go back and listen to us, you know, fawn over it for 20 minutes, you know. We can't say any more about it.
Well, the second half of the album, this album is like 15 tracks and an hour and 15 minutes. This is a huge freaking album, which I have no problem with, especially from a band like this that's known for doing long songs. But to me, it's just kind of, it might have been a stronger album if they had cut a few of these songs out. Mm-hmm. There's no songs that I think are bad and shouldn't be here. I just think it might have been a tighter overall album.
Okay.
But in that second half, Heavy Lies the Crown is the big epic 8.5 minute long song that Machine Head has, you know, really become a master of over the past 10 years with, you know, the stuff like Darkness Within and Unto the Locust and Halo. Mm-hmm. And this song is right up there with those. It's huge and epic. It's got a guitar line in there that's really reminiscent of the guitar line in Halo, and I don't know if that's intentional, like a throwback, or if that's just coincidental. But that's another thing to point out is that Phil Dimmel's been in this band now for how long? 15 years, probably?
Yeah, at least.
And so, and he's really...
You should know that more than me.
He's really made his mark
Yeah.
on this band as much as Rob Flynn to me.
Oh, definitely.
Like, you know, when you're listening to this band, that's just those two guys together just make this massive sound.
And you know, that tells you something. They went through a lot of guitar players, and, you know, good thing they finally got someone that's, you know. But, I mean, I like, you know, Grind You Down. I thought that was a cool song. Yeah,
it's kind of cool because he says that line in Bastards.
Yes, yeah.
And then there's, and that's a really cool song title.
Eulogy deal.
Yeah, Eulogy ends the album.
Googly like fucking Zoolander. Fuck me. God damn it. All right, no more F5s for me.
Well, Eulogy ends the album, and it's just this slow kind of, I guess it's a eulogy to the album. Yeah, but it's just like, because it draws back lyrics from several of the songs. And it's a really cool way to end the album. It's not anything where you're going to be like, well, I need to put this song on my playlist. But it's just like, if you're listening to this album in its entirety, it's a really cool way to end it, I think.
Yeah. It was like a reprise like they used to do back in the day.
There you go. Yeah, so, he should have called it Catharis Reprise.
Yes. Yeah.
But he's Rob Flynn. We're not telling him what he should have done.
Yeah.
He's going to show up and tell us to go fuck ourselves.
Hashtag all reprise, no filler.
There you go. I got a question for you, though.
Okay.
If the song Bastards...
I forgot about this.
Was a fleshlight?
Dude.
What would you do?
I mean, that's how much I love this song. If this song was a fleshlight, well, you know, figure it out.
That's not my joke, people. That's Jason's. He said that last night and he forgot, so I just had to bring it up.
You know. Well, you know, it did better yesterday. Your reaction was, 75% of it.
Right.
So, it's a little, it's not as potent today, but, fuck it. We'll go into it.
Yeah. I mean, it was still, it's one of those things. I'm like, there's going to be a callback to that in future episodes.
I hope that's when we know we got a great song. Like, not just a good song, but, this is when we got something. Hey, if this song were a Fleshlight.
I don't know. There's 2 albums we're going to be talking about here in a bit that if they were Fleshlights, hey.
Well, I'm going to be busy.
Well, let's segue the Fleshlight talk into some Forsaken Few music.
Jesus Christ.
Forsaken Few is going to be like, why the fuck did we allow them to play
Yeah,
our
no
music?
shit. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, this is, just look at us. Look at us. This is what we've become.
Yeah. Took us 158 episodes, but we officially fell off the tracks.
Christ on a fucking cracker.
Hashtag Christ on a cracker. All right, well, let's do this.
You're not even drunk.
Let's do this. Forsaken Few, and this song is called One Step Ahead.
Open your eyes to see that this has come to an end. As you chill from the sidelines, I'll be the one who wins. You think this is a game you can't play as you go. I've seen your ways, you sit and try to sell your lies, and you wonder why I'm labeled as that kind of guy. I am that kind of guy. You can't sell your lies, 'cause I am one simple head. That's where I've always been. You can find me one simple head. You've been up and down, you stick around trying to get one step on me. But you come to realize that your clever ways ain't got shit on me. Ain't got shit on me. Ain't got shit on me. 'Cause I am one simple head. That's where I've always been. You can find me one simple head.
One Step Ahead from Forsaken Few out of Joplin, Missouri. That's just a killer track that, pulls from elements of a lot of things that we love. You hear a lot of groove metal and like southern stoner metal. It's kind of like somewhere between Pantera and COC, which are two
I
bands
get
we both
that.
love.
Yeah, definitely.
And I hear a lot of Zen Hipster in here myself.
Oh God, really?
I know
Really?
that's not a reference most people would get, but that's the band Jason was
I
in.
get that. Many moons ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago now almost.
Yeah, no, it is 20.
Yeah.
Fuck. 2018, 1998.
When was the year?
Son
You were
of
up to what,
bitch.
2001, right?
No, it was started in 94. It was just, when the idea was started, I wasn't even around.
Right.
So it's been longer than that, but
But it's just
20. It's been longer than 20 years when I.
just his vocals.
I get
At
that.
times I hear some Eric Reese in there myself.
Yeah.
But it's got that
That's
real
cool.
that real southern groove that I love personally.
Yeah. I thought the guitars cut through real good. It was, well produced. It sounds great.
Yeah, and we've seen them, but it's been quite a while.
Yes, it's been a while.
We actually saw them in their hometown of Joplin. I think it was late 2016,
Okay.
if I remember right.
No.
Maybe it was even 2015.
2015.
Oh, was that long ago?
Had to been, yeah.
Yeah, when we had, because it was
a while ago.
an early episode we had
Yeah.
Ryan and Tim from Soil on, and they opened up for Soil. We both love these guys, and they've been on our radar ever since, but we've yet to ever have them on, so we need to get these guys on here to talk
Definitely.
to us pretty soon. But speaking of Forsaken Few, they're another band that's playing HolataFest. That's
Yes.
this coming weekend. And over the past month and a half, we've been playing bands every week that are playing this thing, trying to get the bands on here that we haven't played previously.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these bands we've played several times throughout the last couple of years. But Forsaken Few is playing this thing this Friday, and it goes on both Friday and Saturday at the Shrine, downtown Tulsa. The Shrine's one of the coolest venues to see a show in this town, or
Premier venue.
this area actually.
Yes.
And $15 for both days, or $10 for one day. You can't beat that for like 20 bands?
Yeah.
15, 20 bands. For those of you that aren't familiar with the name Holata, that's the last name of John Holata, who was the original guitarist for Screaming Red Mutiny. And he was also had his band called The Joint Effect.
Yes.
He was on his podcast back, I think it was episode 48,
Okay.
with Screaming Red Mutiny.
Yes.
And unfortunately, he was killed by a drunk driver late last year. Well, sorry, late 2016.
Yes.
And the first HolataFest was February of 2017. And that was, to help raise costs for his wife. His wife, was just now getting back to where she can walk.
Yes, she was severely injured as well in this.
And this second HolataFest, all the proceeds are going to a college fund for his son, Zach, which is a really cool deal. Last year, there was tons of memorabilia that was autographed by artist Sunshine Seawright from Axis Entertainment. Did a great job of bringing a lot of stuff. And I
Definitely.
think she's doing that again this year. Steve Murdock of Murdock Productions is the one that puts all this together. Does an amazing job of bringing in the talent. And this year is no different.
Oh, man.
So
Great
who's-
lineup.
Who's on Friday besides Forsaken Few?
Starts off with Garrett Heck, Sovereign Dame, Let Slip the Dogs, Vague Vendetta. What the fuck is wrong with me? Vague Vendetta. Sorry, guys. Fist of Rage, Driver, Forsaken Few, and Screaming Red Mutiny, rounding the night out.
And right there, we've talked about every single one of these bands at some point.
Yeah, I mean, that right there is just fucking bad. And that's just one night.
Yeah, that's just the first day of the
Yeah.
weekend, folks.
Yeah.
That starts at 4 p.m. The second day, Saturday, same thing, 4 p.m.
Yep.
All afternoon, evening, and night.
You're probably going to see our happy asses there most of the time.
Yeah.
I think we both plan on getting out there for a pretty good 99% of it.
Yeah, because there's none of these bands I want to miss.
Definitely.
Saturday kicks off. We've got Nameless Society. We've got our good buddies in Reliance Code.
Yes.
We've got the mighty Steve Ray and Oklahoma
I
Braves.
can't wait.
Yeah, it's been too long. We've got Enslaved by Fear. That this will be the first time we're seeing them with the new vocalist.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got Grind, who never disappoints. Less Than Human, who as well
Yes.
never disappoints. I could say this about every band. You don't want to miss it. But Less Than Human is one of those bands that if you've never had the chance to see them, you're in for a treat.
Yep, something's happening with those guys.
Yeah. Catch them at this level while you can.
Yeah, no shit.
Because you might be paying $80 at an arena here in a couple years. We've also got Machine in the Mountain, who I gush about at least every few episodes at some point.
Well, because they're badass.
Yeah, one of the greatest instrumental metal bands you'll ever see in your life.
Singer, who needs a singer?
Machine in the Mountain sure as shit doesn't.
They don't.
They let the music sing,
That's right.
motherfucker. 13 minutes. We're finally going to get the opportunity to see this band. We had Jamie on this podcast way, way back, right at the infant stages of this band. And this band's music is so well produced, sounds so massive, and I just can't wait to see what they do in the live setting.
It's going to be great.
And then Burning Icarus is the final band here on Saturday. I don't know if this is in order. I'm just saying they're the final band here on the list. And I actually listened to their EP on Spotify just a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah?
Very cool stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
I got to check it out.
Because they're one of the few bands on the list that I hadn't heard once I saw them on here, so I wanted to check them out. But yeah, I mean, like we said, you know, we talk highly of all these bands, not just because Steve Murdock is paying us to do it. I wish he was. Hey, Steve Murdock, why don't you start sponsoring this podcast?
What the hell?
We talk about him highly because we love them all.
Yes.
We've seen a good chunk of them live. If we haven't, we've heard their music and we love it. And you can't beat a show with this many solid bands where all the proceeds are going to something great.
Yes, definitely. It's an honor to go and be a part of it. You know,
You see our logo there on the flyer?
Yes, that's I'm super proud. You know, it was a terrible thing that happened. You know, it was an honor we got to sit in the room while he was recording.
That's right.
That was great. And, you know, it's great to, you know, try to turn this thing into a positive for his son.
Definitely. So yeah, if you're anywhere driving distance to Tulsa this weekend,
yes,
even if it's just for one day of the 2 days, if you can get out there, it'd mean a lot. If not, just get on Facebook and look up HolataFest. There's a link on there where you can buy t-shirts, stickers, posters, all kinds of stuff. And the same thing, all the proceeds go to John's son and his college fund.
That's right.
So which album you want to talk about next? You want to talk about your boy Jared?
Oh, man, let's do it. I want to talk about Jared James Nichols.
Okay. Jared James Nichols' new album is called Black Magic. It just came out, a week or two ago, which I don't know if that's true or not, but it technically just came out.
Shit. I mean, you've heard me bitch about it.
Right.
Go back, I've probably bitched about it in the last 8 episodes.
Yeah. Yep, this thing came out sometime in late 2017, and then all of a sudden got pulled off of everything.
Yeah.
All sales market, like Amazon.
It had like a UK release, and then like a week later was a US release. And I'd been watching, and I was ready for it because I wanted to hear it. And I listened to it for like 2 days straight, and then it just like disappeared. It vanished off the face of the earth. And then, you know, a few weeks ago, he was on a social being, oh, you know, it's finally going to see the light of day. So I don't know what the fuck happened, but it's out now. So, and you know, this guy, Jared James Nichols is, you know, he's slowly the last 3 or 4 years have been coming up. He's a blues rock guy. What is so impressive to me is kind of like Richie Kotzen. He doesn't use a pick. You know, he just uses his fingers.
Oh, really?
Yes. That's why and that tells me now that you've never watched any of the Instagram videos I tag you in. You fuck, cause you'd know. But you gotta start, you know, he tries to do a video a day of him soloing over something, and it just, you know, with his fingers, and it looks like it hurts. Cause his attack is just insane. But he just plays with this, you know, no pick, and it's just insane what he can do. And it's just swinging, you know, gritty, blues rock. And if you like that kind of thing, if you like, you know, Blackstone Cherry or like the first 2 Ian Moore albums, you know, that kind of thing. If you love Stevie Ray Vaughan, you're gonna fucking love Jared James Nichols. You're gonna love him.
Yeah, I hear a lot of cause I really got into Inglorious with their first 2 albums.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of that.
Another one. If you love,
the same
definitely.
type of vibe, even vocally, and not just
yes,
guitar wise. But this is just the type of music to me that, you know, maybe I just haven't looked hard enough, but there's not enough of the harder edged blues guys out there.
Yeah, there isn't.
Usually they're just like straight up blues or blues influence. You know, you just hear a little bit of blues influence. You don't hear it head on like he does.
And I think because not only that, but he's so good at his instrument, and he's, you know, the way he plays, you know, he's gotten open up for Zach Wilde.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's got on the UFO and Saxon tours, which when I went, we didn't get there in time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You know, to see him, he went on first. I totally missed that. But I mean, he's gotten some good tours and some good opportunities, because not only is he, you know, he's a blues rock guy, but he's kind of a virtuoso in a way. You just, you know, if you watch the fucking videos, Trent, you'll see what I mean.
Well, another thing is, this album is only like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And most of the songs average like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is not common for blues type music either.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, kind of a really cool thing. You know, you've talked about that many times, how you love songs or albums where they're short to the point.
Yep.
And so that's cool to hear it from this type of music as well.
Yeah. It gets in there, it kills you, and it gets out.
Yeah. So what are some of the highlights to you from the album?
Well, it's called Black Magic. Did you say that?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I really like I think the opening track is my favorite, Last Chance. I mean, it's a rocker, and you hear that and that just fast palm muty kind of stuff, and it's amazing how he does that with no pick. And I really like Honey Forgive Me.
Yeah.
You know, nothing in the room can stay still when that song comes on. You know, so
yeah, Honey Forgive Me really jumped out as one of my favorites. I really like The Gun.
The Gun, Run, I think, is a good song. I mean, you know, this is just, and it, you know, it's fresh. It calls back to stuff that we all know and makes us feel good, but it's all fresh at the same time. That's hard to do. So this album was just a breath of fresh air for me.
So is it like your favorite album so far of 2018?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's one of them, definitely.
Yeah.
Saxon, I think, might have that title so far.
Really?
Yep. I know yours is probably Anvil.
Bitch in a Box.
Hey, that's a great fucking record. I mean, we're not going to go into that one on this one. That's for another episode, because we've got a few to tackle. But
hey, Anvil,
you know what you're going to get with. I mean, they do the same fucking, you know, riffs for days, drums like a fucking madman. I mean, you can't knock it. You just can't.
Yeah, I mean, you know what you're going to get, and it's always consistent. So personally, I don't know. I hope Jared James Nichols does some touring where he comes to our area.
I'm sure he will.
You know, now that this is going, I meant to ask you before we recorded or anything. I've listened to this album several times, but I still haven't went back and listened to the earlier stuff. Have you listened to his previous album or
Yeah,
EP?
I did. I can't, I can't remember what it's called off the top
two.
of my head.
I know there's an EP and a full
Listen
album.
to him, yeah. This is pretty much, I mean, he's staying in the same vein.
Okay.
You
So
know,
those are they, you think they're as good as?
I like this better so far.
Okay.
This is just a little bit more statement, you know, cohesive kind of stuff.
Kind of the coming out party.
Yes, like this is who the fuck I am. So it's really cool. And I mean, just, I'm a guitar geek, and so this is just,
when you're starting to see his name pop up more in different places.
Yes,
we
definitely
saw that video of him on stage with Frank Hannon at NAMM, I think, or something.
Yeah, and he did one of those My Favorite Riffs with Nikki Sixx.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that was cool. That was really cool.
So maybe, obviously it's never going to be mainstream in America, but maybe he'll do the thing like Blackstone Cherry and Inglorious where he picks up steam in England and Europe,
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, because he does do a lot of stuff in Europe. He does do a lot of stuff in England. And I thought
he's probably already taken off.
Oh, yeah. What I thought was cool was, a couple weeks ago or what was it, last week and whatever, the NAMM show was going on. He would post stuff on his social media from NAMM, and he found a picture of like this antique, badass 1959 gold top Les Paul, because that's, he's a classic kind of guy. And he took a picture of it. He goes, finally, in the fucking sea of whammy bars and 48 string guitars, I find a real guitar. And I fucking loved that. I thought that was great. So
48 string guitars. Yeah, because you had sent me a picture of that one that was like
it was
18
strings, and this motherfucker played it. I'm like, I wouldn't even know I can barely do 6 strings.
Who was it that played it?
That Jared James guy that has like his whole YouTube channel. And,
okay.
You know, he does all this kind of like the Rob Scallon guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Rob Scallon's a little more entertaining to me, but that's a whole other episode.
Yeah. Well, another new album that came out here in the past few weeks.
Yes.
Was Avatar Country.
Jason Carroll, this is for you.
Yeah, he's been on us from the week he came out. Why didn't we talk about this?
Well, and he's got a point, you know.
He does.
You know, we need him to keep us in check, and we're going to have him on the podcast soon enough anyways.
Well, and you know by the title of this that the band is Avatar.
Yes.
And the first thing I want to talk about is that back, man, that was late 2016, I think.
I think so, yeah.
When Avatar played Tulsa, we had Johannes, the lead vocalist,
yes,
on the podcast. That was very cool.
He was a class dude.
Yeah, that was a very fun, a fun one. Really enjoyed that. But during that podcast, he said, our next album is not going to be a concept album. I'm done with that for a while. So on record, he flat out lied to us because this is pretty much as concept as it gets, I think.
You're going to have to put him on blast.
Maybe Blabbermouth will say, Thunder Underground says Johannes of Avatar lied.
No. Blabbermouth, they'll make a shitstorm out of anything. Maybe Johannes is telling us that just to fuck with us a little bit.
It could have been.
And if that's the case, then hey, good.
Yeah, good for him.
Good play. I dig that.
Yeah.
Keep us all guessing.
Well, my favorite song on this album is the one about the king.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, this every single track on the album, if you haven't checked it out or listened to it, has the word king in it somewhere.
Yes. And you know what? Now it's time for volleyball.
Right. In case you didn't know, the king is not constipated anymore.
And his mustache looks great, which is definitely a sign of an early spring.
Right.
I fucking love it. Fucking love it.
So there's great Swedish humor on here. But
I'm telling you, which is like some of the best humor, way better than us fucking stupid Americans.
Right.
This shit's great. And that's just the interludes.
Yeah.
We haven't even got to the fucking songs yet, which are fucking badass.
Yeah, when you get down to just the music of this album, it's only like 30 I've looked at it. It was like 38, 39 minutes of music.
Yeah.
Which for a band like Avatar is pretty short for a full album, especially when you look at like the last one. The thing about this album, and even this band in general, is that they just, every time I listen to them, especially if it's something new, it just blows me away a little more. They just never cease to amaze me. They're kind of, to me, coming like the Faith No More of modern metal. You know, even though they don't sound like Faith No More, I'm not saying that. It's just kind of like, you can put on the album and you don't know.
Their path is kind of like...
Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah. And vocally on this album, he hits pretty much every, space that his voice could hit, every style of singing, he goes rough as hell, he goes high as hell, he goes, operatic almost at times.
Yeah.
He's done that on the last couple of albums, but it's just real prevalent to me, and I love every song on this album, and to me at this point, early February, this is the best album of the year.
Really?
This may be tied with Corrosion and Conformity, just because I'm such a dork for that.
Well, I really fucking dug this album. I really did. I'll just tell you, I'll just start off. My two favorites on this album are The King Wants You and The King Welcomes You to Avatar Country.
Yeah.
Those are my two favorite songs. Just fucking badass. The vocals, The King Wants You has that kind of just, that different kind of beat. I don't know, man. And then the Avatar Country kind of has I don't know, I'm not going to say a country vibe, but It's just got one of those.
You know, it's there to play in with the word country.
Yes, and the thing is, not everybody can pull that off, and these guys pull off all the different styles and different vibes. They pull it off beautifully, and that just I fucking admire the shit out of that.
Yeah, that song's got that twang and that stomp, and then it gets heavy.
Yeah.
And then I love how at the end of the song, when it's going back into that kind of country twang and stomp thing, and they're, doing the harmony vocals, and then right as it stops, the next song, King's Harvest, is heavy as fuck, and his vocals are like,
yeah.
And it's just like the coolest segue ever, and it just kind of, that moment encompasses this band,
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Those two songs running together.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the track King After King because it's just so melodic and kind of, it harkens back to like that late 80s, I'm not going to say glam metal, but it just has that kind of, upbeat melodic feel that a lot of that music had.
That's right.
And I mean, they've done that in previous, albums as well, but that kind of jumped out at me because of that. But this is just 35, 40 minutes of greatness.
Yeah, and the solos on this thing, holy crap, man! You need a radar gun. Need to pull the guitar over.
Well, even the first track, Legend of the King, or the first musical track.
Yes, yeah.
The first track's an intro, but just the guitar right when it kicks off, it's like you're listening to fucking Dream Theater or something.
Shit, it's insane.
Yeah, I think that not just in general, these guys, they've picked up a lot of steam over the last couple of years. They're still not as big as they should be, but besides just that, each guy in this band is nowhere near getting the credit they deserve because they're all just amazing musicians.
Insane musicians. Yeah, it's no shit, it is, I think a lot of countries in America could take a fucking cue from Sweden and those kind of countries, but it's not only their talent of their instrument, but it's also the songwriting and the styles and the vibes that they're presenting and that they're combining. It's unique, and you wouldn't think, if you heard somebody describe it, you'd be like, what the fuck? Get the fuck out of here. You'd be like, well, I don't know. But when you hear it, it's like, holy fuck, it does make sense. And that's super valuable. And, also the King's Residue is going to fit nicely in with the local brewery.
Of course it is.
I mean, come on.
You need some of the King's Residue in your F5.
I do. That's the problem.
We need to get on. Who makes F5? Is it Coop?
Coop.
Yeah, get on Coop and tell them to get some of the King's Residue.
Okay, we'll do. They're from Oklahoma City.
Yeah. Well, Avatar Country is definitely one I think we'll be talking about again at the end of the year when it comes to the best albums of 2018.
Oh, man, definitely.
But pick it up, just check it out. Give it a shot especially if you've never gave Avatar a shot.
I mean, if this album was a fleshlight.
You know it.
I mean, here we go. That's our year's over. We already know. This is how it's going to go.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
Hashtag Fleshlight for life.
Oh, man.
Fleshlight AF.
On that note.
Well, we appreciate you listening. As always, we've got a lot of episodes now. We've got, actually, if you look at the number and subtract 1, we've got 157 previous episodes.
That's right. And we're pretty sure that in the span of those 157 episodes, you're going to find something you like. And the beauty part of it is they're all there. Go back, see what you like. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, thethunderunderground@gmail.com. Send us your love and your hate.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And it doesn't matter what you use. If you use iTunes, if you use Google Music, if you use Stitcher, TuneIn, Mixcloud, SoundCloud, YouTube, we're on all of them.
Yeah.
And whatever you're listening to, hit the like button. If it's something like iTunes, leave us a review.
Please.
SoundCloud as well. Just leave a comment. That kind of stuff always helps. Spread the stuff around. More people see it. Facebook, hit like on the post. You know how that stuff works.
Totally.
But we've got tons of these episodes where we talk about albums like this. And we've got a ton where we talk talk with people. We have interviews with, like we said, Johannes from Avatar was on this podcast. We've had John Connolly from Seven Dust, Reed Mullen from COC, all those bands that we mentioned on HolataFest. Several of those have been on here.
Yeah.
Driver, Fist of Rage, Oklahombres, Screaming Red Mutiny, Less Than Human.
Yeah, Less Than Human. Jamie Kaczynski, 13 Minutes.
Right.
We've also had, Doc Coyle from God Forbid and Bad Wolves.
Bad Wolves just announced that they're going on tour with Five Finger Death Punch.
That's right. Well, Zoltan's their manager, so
it makes
that's
sense.
where that happens. Can you blame him? That'll be a good slot for him. That'll be great.
Yeah, it'll expose him to a lot of people.
Totally. Dave Elfson from Megadeth. You might have heard of them.
You might have heard of Kiss.
Kiss might have.
There's a guy named Bruce Kulick, who is a former member of Kiss.
Yes.
But there's also a guy named Gene Simmons, who is a current member of Kiss.
I think I've heard of that guy.
Yeah, he was on this podcast.
That's awesome.
And he likes, unsavory jokes.
Yes, he does. He totally does.
So be sure and pull that one up if you haven't heard it. We've had on Sid Falk, formerly of Overkill. You like thrash metal like Overkill, Megadeth. We had on guys from Death Angel, from Battlecross and Insight. Richie Cavalera, Max Cavalera's son. We've had on guys from Scattered Hamlet.
Totally. Reed Mullen from COC.
Right.
Wino.
You like punk music?
Lenny Lashley, Street Dogs.
There you go.
We've had him on.
The Normandies are a great independent band out of Oklahoma. We've had them
on. King with a Y.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if you like the stoner stuff like that, Kirk Winstein from Crowbar. Down, of course. Jimmy Bauer of Down.
Yeah, that's right. We talked about Soil earlier. We've had them on.
Right.
Drowning Pool, CJ from Drowning Pool. I mean, we
didn't even get into the glam metal yet either.
No. Oh, holy fuck. Spout off some of that.
Warrant, Firehouse, Trickster, all three of the bands from the Blood, Sweat, and Beers tour.
We've had them on.
Lillian Axe, Taiketo, Bullet Boys, Europe. That's
Great
the
White.
final countdown, people. Yeah, Great White twice.
Twice.
Mark Kendall is an exceptional person, at least to us.
That is an amazing human being.
He doesn't seem to like his former singer, but he likes us.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we've got you. We've got you covered. Come to us.
Hashtag Fleshlight AF.
We're kind of like, Arby's. Like they've got the meats. We've got the interviews.
Okay, that deserved the drum. Ba-dum-dum.
Cut all that. Oh, Jesus Christ. I've only had like 3 of these beers. I swear to God.
Anyway, SoundCloud.com/Thunder-Undergrounds, where all of them are at. Get on our website, eatthunderunderground.com. You can listen to everything there as well. A lot of other stuff on there. Our Instagram has tons of stuff. Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. Hit like and follow us. Patreon.com. Become a patron.
Yeah, do that one for sure.
All right. Until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.